The entire first season of The Mandalorian is now streaming on Disney Plus, and if you've not seen it yet, this is going to be a mostly spoiler-free review. I'm going to talk about a few things, though, that, well, everybody's been talking about online, so it won't feel like much of a spoiler. The basic outline of the story is the Mandalorian is a bounty hunter, much in line with Boba Fett, Jango Fett, all the Mandalorians before, and he's dispatched on a mission. He accomplishes the mission. It's a target that has been sent to be retrieved and possibly be given to someone else. However, as things begin to unravel, certain secrets about this particular target start to come to surface, and the Mandalorian realizes he has to protect the thing. Now, I'm going to talk about the target because I have to, but the target is a child. It's been dubbed, well, obviously by the internet as Baby Yoda, but it's called a child. And this thing is force sensitive, it has some abilities, it stops a mudhorn from killing the Mandalorian, and it's also really, really adorable. That's the most important thing.
You want some soup?
Now that we've got those things out of the way, how is The Mandalorian Season 1? This is easily one of the best things that Star Wars has ever created. I loved this season. It's not all perfect. I have some issues with it, particularly in the middle portion. But overall, I think this is a fantastically executed season, full of wonderful performances. Pedro Pascal is fantastic as the Mandalorian. He has a very stringent approach to the character, as is obvious because Mandalorians, you shouldn't show any emotion. It's a very merciless job. It's a complicated profession, as Werner Herzog says. And clearly, that is exhibited in his performance as well. It's because he's very restrained for a lot of the season, and a lot isn't revealed about him, that we find him to be mysterious, and a lot of answers are not given to us immediately. In fact, it's not until pretty much the end of the season that we get to know pretty much all we need to know about him as a character. No spoilers. Once again, I'm going to be very civil about this because I know a lot of you have not seen the season finale yet. But the show does build up in that way. There's a lot of time because of that. There's a lot of moments where you get very little nuggets of information, and you might not find yourself caring about the character so much for the longest time. But you will eventually, and you grow a very nice, strong connection with him, especially as he's trying to take care of this child, who, by the way, is the breakout star of this entire season. He's absolutely terrific, and the fact that this is a puppet honestly makes things a lot better. I think what they've done here is beautiful. I think it's very sweet. It's definitely a force to be reckoned with, as I've already revealed, but these are in the early episodes. These are not major spoilers. But what I really like about it is that it's adorable, but in certain episodes they've been like, all right, cute, but it's still important to the plot. And the show never lets you forget that everything that's going on, everything that the Mandalorian is now facing, because he's now having to protect this target, and this has put a target on his head, that now there is a civil responsibility he has to protect this child. Because it's just a little thing. Granted, it is 50 years old and it is the same species as Yoda, but it's just a baby. These things age in a different way. That's why Yoda died at 900. And, so that explains that little bit. As far as the other characters go, Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, was one of my favorite side characters. I love the camaraderie between her and Mando. It was really, really awesome. Carl Weathers as Greef Karga was also really great. But, Carl Weathers in anything is great. It's always nice to see him in something like this, and I'm glad that he's in this one too. Nick Nolte as Queel was probably the most famous one because of his catchphrase, "I have spoken." So yeah, that was going to happen, and I'm so glad that he was in this show. He did a wonderful job as well. As for the villains, there's a lot of them. I'm not going to go into them because there's a lot of celebrity cameos, including and not limited to Na-Wen, Giancarlo Esposito, and of course for Carl Weathers. I'm not going to go too much into that, just in case, because I also realized Disney Plus isn't actually out in most countries yet. So because of that, a lot of people are probably handicapped in terms of watching The Mandalorian. Unless I guess some people are pirating it, which I guess would happen because it's something that a lot of people want to see. That's something that's unfortunate, and I wish that there was some way they could avoid that, like an international rollout at the same time, but they didn't do that, so I figured now you're kind of stuck with the fact that only a few countries, select countries, have really seen this thing. In fact, Baby Yoda was such a big thing that I was surprised, like, oh, I mean, is the entire world on it in on this? Because unfortunately, it was spoiled pretty much everywhere. I was trying not to spoil it because I have family back at home, which is where I am right now, actually. But then I was like, you know what? I feel like I need to talk about it. And then after I talked about it, my dad just says, yeah, we all knew. It was all over the internet for the last few weeks. I mean, you were not hiding anything at this point. This was around episode 4. Each episode, most of the episodes, were directed by different directors. Taika Waititi, Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, who let's talk about for a minute. I believe she's handling the entirety of the Kenobi show that's going to be on Disney Plus. And after seeing the episodes that she did, 3 and 7, the two best episodes of the entire season, I honestly can't wait to see what she does next. This is a phenomenal director. Honestly, I want her to direct a live action movie. I think she would do a wonderful job. She has done a phenomenal job. And yes, her episodes were easily some of the best directed, some of the best acted, some of the best written. Really worthy of all commendations. I cannot wait to see what she does next. Rick Famuyiwa is also one of the directors, and so was Jon Favreau. They did a wonderful job. Everybody did a wonderful job. Bryce Dallas Howard directed episode 4, which was also wonderfully directed. It was a nice little detour episode, which I did enjoy. The visual effects, all of them, wonderful. The production design is worthy of commending because it is on the same budget as a live-action Star Wars movie. And you can tell, except for a couple of things here and there, it is fairly solid, the VFX work done. The score by Ludwig Göransson, phenomenal. One of the best in Star Wars. It takes a while to grow on you because it's a very different kind of Star Wars score. It's not something like John Williams or Michael Giacchino or John Powell in Solo did. It's very different. And I think they've done a pretty amazing job with what they've got. And Ludwig is honestly talented as hell at this point. I mean, Black Panther was a terrific score too. So were the Creed movies. He's done a wonderful job. Even Venom, which I didn't really like. It's a pretty fun score. So yeah, those are little things. But those are things you've come to expect in Star Wars, and all of those things are phenomenally handled. It's really the character and the way it takes its time in telling its story that works. This is not always effective though, because episodes 5 and 6 are definitely two of the least good episodes of the entire season. These are detours. Mando's going on missions. Episode 5 in particular probably is the weakest episode of the entire season. It's this very long thing with another bounty hunter or one who is trying to be one, played by Jake Cannavale, who I didn't really like this episode. I thought it was kind of a waste. It was fun. It was kind of fun, but not one that I really enjoyed. Episode 6 was also a big detour, and I was kind of hoping they would get back to the root of the story, like the main thing going on. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do like a Western thing where they're like, we go to different places, different missions, different things. And the vibe of the show is also very Western that way, especially in certain shots and certain sequences. But at the same time, they've established a plot line and they've started off with that thing. Sort of liked if you kept it consistent that way. Granted, there are other things I liked about episode 5. I did like Amy Sedaris as this engineer on Tatooine. There was a lot of fan service in that episode. There's a lot throughout the entire season. And I like certain things that are alluded to throughout. And I liked all of those things. It's just that I feel like sometimes it does take a backseat to other things that were side quests. And I feel like the side quests became way more important than they should have been. That being said, I still absolutely loved this season. I think it's a fantastic addition to the Star Wars universe. I can't wait to see what they do next. And please do check it out if you haven't yet. Somehow, some way, I guess you'll probably will. I'm going to give The Mandalorian Season 1 an A-. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Now I'm going to do my top 10 best movies of 2019. Actually, no, top 20. Top 20. Lots of movies to cover. We're going to do that. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the movies.